This is the murder of Chiquita Tate. Chiquita Patrice Tate was born on October 15, 1975. She attended school in East Baton Rouge until the 11th grade, when she moved to and graduated from high school in Chicago. She graduated from Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, where she earned a bachelor's degree in English and moved back to Baton Rouge to pursue her doctorate degree from Southern University Law Center. She was sworn in as an attorney on October 2004, and she began her solo practice concentrating in the field of criminal law in January 2005. Prior to going to law school, she worked as a teacher with the Timbuktu Academy at Southern University and as a legal assistant for Judge Pamela Taylor Johnson. Chiquita was the first in her family to go to college and had an underlying belief in the legal system, so much so that she had even had a tattoo of a lady justice on her back. Her life was perfect from the outside. She had a good, lovable husband, Greg Harris, who seemed to support everything that she did, and she was doing extremely well in her career, with her friends and colleagues calling her a pit bull in the courtroom. But on February 20th, 2009, the 34-year-old husband called 911 early in the morning, worried because she wasn't picking up her phone. Chiquita had been pulling an all-nighter in her office to prepare for an upcoming high-profile murder trial. Not unusual considering her work, but the no response was. Greg just wanted someone to check if she was okay. Unfortunately, Chiquita was not okay. When the police arrived at her office inside the State National Life building on the corner of 3rd and Florida Street, they saw nothing but a mess. Her office was strewn with books and papers, and there was blood everywhere. Chiquita herself was lying on the floor, dead and covered in blood. There were multiple stab wounds all over her body, but the one in her neck was almost immediately classified as the one that killed her. Official autopsy report confirmed it and also revealed that she had been stabbed a total of 43 times. Her killer had kept cutting her long after she had passed away. The first thing that the investigators noticed was that there was no indication of a robbery, but as per protocol, everything in the office was swabbed to possibly get some DNA evidence. And what even better, in case of evidence of course, is that Chiquita had a clump of hair in one of her hands, perhaps her murderer's, so it was taken to be analyzed as well. Unfortunately, none of these gave any conclusive information, as she was the kind of defense attorney who handled high-profile cases and was surrounded by felons. The police wondered whether it was possible if one of her clients had actually turned on her and killed her after a disagreement. The investigators obviously questioned Greg Harris as a matter of course, and he told them that he had come by that office that night to bring his wife some food. But when she admitted that she had to keep working, he left her alone and went straight home. They had been married for just over a year, and Greg said that they didn't have any relationship troubles whatsoever. However, that day itself, his lies was caught when the police found an open warrant against him, filed by his wife, then fiancé, in 2007, when the charge being that of domestic violence. Greg, when questioned about it, said that the incident happened months ago and that the couple had moved on from it. After all, their marriage license was dated just 2.5 weeks after the domestic violence report. He also revealed that the warrant was still open because he had simply forgotten to show up for court. Still, because he had initially tried to hide the truth, he was arrested. As for Chiquita's client being the suspect, her most recent ones, who possibly had the most to gain from her death, were behind bars, so they couldn't have possibly done it. The only person of interest was her husband. The investigation continued, and it was found that Greg had lied about going straight home as well. Chiquita's wallet was recovered by a passenger from the Garden Lane area, a high crime area about 9 miles away from her office. And when they asked Greg about it, he said that he was the one who went there on the night of the murder because, as a bodybuilder, he needed steroids, and that was where his dealer lived. What was even more bizarre is that his sister called from Dallas, Texas, to give a fake anonymous tip to the police about Chiquita being involved involved in a love triangle with 2 other women. This just solidified their belief about Greg being Chiquita's killer. So they looked deeper into their personal relationship. They found that Chiquita had threatened to leave Greg before that because of the abuse and was planning to make a good on it. When a search warrant for his home and car were gained and executed, the police found tremendous amount of blood trace on various surfaces. DNA testing proved that the blood was Chiquita and her husband was indeed her killer. Greg had stabbed Chiquita over 43 times and left her there and covered up the scene to make it seem as if it was someone else. The hair found in Chiquita's hands in her office was believed to be cut from a weave belonging to her by Greg to stage the scene. Greg Harris was charged with second-degree murder and the trial began in March 2011. Harris' trial lasted 16 days and he was found guilty of manslaughter and not the initial charge of second-degree murder. He received the maximum sentence of 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The loss of Chiquita Tate was so hard for her community in Baton Rouge and the legal community as well. She was a gifted lawyer and demonstrated her talent profoundly in the courtroom. She was looked upon by her peers. Chiquita also broke down generational barriers by being the first to graduate from college in her family and setting new standards for her family to seek to achieve. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Chiquita's family. May her soul continue to rest in peace. Until next time on the Meaningful Talk Crime Doc, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch up with you later in the comment section.